Welcome to Opinions Like Ales, everybody, your favorite pop culture podcast where we have opinions and most of them stink. My name is Michael Zampino. With me, as always, is Hilton Price.
For more than 20 years, my mother lived in Florida. And now that she doesn't, and I'm not a fan of that because she lives much closer to me, and as far as I'm concerned, you should live at least 1,000 miles away from most of your family. But now that she doesn't live in Florida anymore, I can at least say I no longer have to go to Florida.
Yeah, it's not a place where I want to be right now.
No. No lack of love for our listeners from there. If you're from there, though, get out.
If you're from there, sorry about Meatball Ron and all his shenanigans.
Ron DeSuxus.
Do you know about his new nickname that
Why
Trump
is it
gave
Meatball?
him?
Is it Meatball Ron?
Trump started calling him Meatball Ron because Trump thinks he can make fat jokes. And that also... Guy, hey, if your name is one letter away from Ron,
Yeah.
maybe don't give him a nickname Meatball Don, Meatball Ron, because it's just Meatball Don is one letter away, buddy.
Meatball Don, yeah.
I mean, you fucked up, kid.
That's a really interesting take, though, that Trump doesn't get to make fat jokes.
Well, he probably shouldn't, being a big fat fatty himself.
You know, that reminds me, though. You know who has a stupid haircut?
Me?
Vin Diesel.
Oh.
Vin Diesel's got a dumb fucking haircut. Grow some hair,
Yeah,
loser.
you bald fuck.
Who does he think he's fooling with that chrome dome? Anyway.
Yeah,
We have a
get
guest.
him. We do have a guest. Welcome back to the show, Sam Carrico, everybody.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
I had that brief moment of like, did I just say your name wrong?
Everybody does it. Yeah, no, but you nailed it first time.
Yeah, nice job.
That's what I'm talking about.
Sam, of course, the host of the Film Fanclub on YouTube. We had you on a couple years back. And then I think you kind of took a hiatus on the channel for a little bit.
Yes, 2018, YouTube had a lot of changes in the year 2018, and they demonetized my channel and stuff like that, and so it kind of became a little bit of a grueling thing. So I took a couple of years off.
Yeah.
The pandemic hit, and I kind of revamped the format of my show. In 2017, I just kind of did straightforward movie reviews, and in 2020, I kind of got a little bit more inspired by late night comedy, and thought it would be really fun to make like a late night style comedy talk show, but about movies instead of your other news topics of the day. So the Film Fanclub show in its current iteration is got the opening monologue and then interviews and stuff along those lines. So the spark of creativity kind of came back in the pandemic while we were out at home, and it's been 3 years now since then.
Love that.
And it's been great to see.
I love that format idea too. That sounds super fun.
Yeah. Yeah, and I had a chance to be a guest a couple months back, and we got to sit down and talk a little bit about Black Adam.
That's right.
After that came out. And that's a great episode, too, because you also talk about Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
Yes.
And not just because both have the word black in the title, which is a cool word, but also they both kind of deal with like an imperialism kind of thing.
Yeah, there was a lot of political overtones to both of those movies that I think I remember thinking that Black Panther handled it a lot better. Did you get a chance to see Black Panther?
I
since
did,
then?
yeah.
And you probably thought that it handled it better too.
Agree, yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. There's a lot of movies with political undertones that you wouldn't necessarily expect to have them right now, just because it's just so fucking hard to ignore. It's you know what I mean? It's hard not to make stories around the potential fall of democracy.
Yeah, sure. Just, off the top of my head, thinking back on some other recent superhero projects, like over on Disney Plus, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, of course, had heavy political overtones.
The Boys.
Huge. Miss Marvel, even.
I mean, the bad guy in The Boys is basically Trump.
Yeah, he's kind of like
Superhero
a superpower Trump. Yeah,
he's the definition of I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and get away
not
with it.
lose any voters.
Well, and what's interesting about that, too, it doesn't even have to, it's so easy. Trump is such a larger-than-life presence, and it's very easy to tag these things to him. But that's been a growing thing with the idea of celebrity and celebrity accountability for a long time. I mean, even going back just when we were all younger, freaking Snoop Dogg going on trial for murder, when people thinking that he
murder
got
was the
off.
case that they gave him.
It's true. So thinking that he got off because of his fame,
right?
So I mean that's just a thing.
When he got off because he didn't do it.
I believe if the legal system is to be trusted,
yeah, right, right, exactly. No, he was acquitted.
Yeah, and now he's just a hell of a Pee Wee football coach.
Honestly,
so,
honestly, Snoop Dogg seems like the coolest fucking guy.
Yeah,
he seems pretty rad. He would be very nice.
I'd hang with Snoop Dogg, and it's not just because we have similar interests.
You will love hip hop. Hilton loves hip hop.
So we've been talking about having Sam on for a couple weeks now, and it really presented itself as a perfect time with the Super Bowl just last week, and it's because
The big game, Hilton.
Oh, my bad.
I don't want to get sued for saying the Super Bowl.
I'm so sorry. Did you think I was referring to a football match?
Yes.
When I say the Super Bowl, I'm talking to about my pre-show preparation.
Your weed bong.
I smoke a Super Bowl, so that's I of course not. I am clean as the
Your
day is
ganja
long.
bong.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm a straight edge. No,
As straight as they come.
yeah, straight. That's in every way that this means. When people think Hilton, they think straight as an arrow.
They just rigid. That
Yeah, no, unwavering.
Oh boy.
There was a game.
There was a game.
During the game, they showed a lot of movie trailers.
They did.
So, Movie Guy seemed like the
Absolutely.
right choice for this week.
There's a lot of them coming up.
Yeah, and also too, like you really have shown that you're not just gonna. You don't just go to the movies just for popcorn and explosions. Like you do go to the film with a critical eye.
Yeah, I sometimes call myself a cynical person, a very negative person sometimes. But I like to be impressed by movies. So last year I really liked the Batman. There's a lot of great movies that have come out, but whenever a movie's bad, and unfortunately a lot of movies they make are bad.
I was gonna say, isn't it weird to think that like just wanting to be satisfied with a movie seems like a lofty goal?
I know people are like, why don't you just let people like things? I'm like, well, just let me hate things. That's come on.
Right? Yeah. Well, and that's always kind of been like I get that, like, yeah, when you're scrolling on Facebook and someone's bashing a thing, like, you can be like, well, why don't you just let people like things? But also, you could unfollow your negative friend.
That's true.
I think, I think there's a line there between, like, someone like Sam who is just pointing out the obvious faults of something that might not be good, and those people that are like, oh, you like that movie? You're a fucking idiot. Like, those are the ones where it's like, man, let people like shit. Like, just because I liked a movie that you think is objectively bad, don't shit on me. Like, you're allowed to not like it. You're allowed to criticize it. You're allowed to do whatever. But it's once you're like, oh, you fucking idiot. You're not smart enough to realize how dumb that movie is. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And it entertained me. Thank you very much.
So there's two sides. There needs to be critique without attack.
Correct.
And there also needs the ability to take critique or to to read critique without taking it personally.
Right.
Maybe. Like,
yeah, to be able to say, like, yeah, I know it wasn't good, but it was fun.
Yeah.
Right. I tried to ride that line. I mean, I'm sure I'm not going to pretend I've never done that with like a friend or something, and we'll have a heated discussion about something Star Wars and be like, wow, you're an idiot for like, because they're my friend. But anytime I
believe
do a
Hilton
review,
has said to me something along the lines of, oh, you like those movies? You're a fucking idiot.
Well, I try to always in my reviews be like, this is subjective. It's my opinion, but here's what I saw and all that stuff. But luckily, I think that people feel pretty comfortable coming to me whether they like something or like Hilton, you were a little bit more laissez-faire, I guess, whenever it came to your critique of Black Adam.
And yeah, you it seemed like I felt a little bit like I kind of disappointed you because I was when I went to see Black Adam, I was a little tipsy and I brought mom to the movie with me. I was like, we're just gonna go see a movie, you know, and it was explosions and big special effects and The Rock being an action hero, which it's not cinema. It's not highbrow in any sense, but like just for like a movie, like just to go and eat popcorn and be wowed by what's on the screen. Oh, it totally met my expectations.
Yeah. And I was going into it a little bit more like, well, DC's on the precipice of this big change, and James Gunn's coming in, and this is the one movie that could save it. The Rock's been trying to do this for 14 years. Is it going to pay out? There's all these like outside things I was approaching it with.
The meta. And it really, there is a lot there. So you were not wrong to go that angle, but I was just very much like, but man, did you see when he caught that missile and turned it around on him?
By big changes coming to DC, do you mean their carbon copy of the Marvel plan that they're doing?
Yes, I guess so.
Even the unveiling of their next slate, like looks exactly like the way Marvel does it.
It felt like a phase reveal.
Yes, it looked exactly like that. It looked carbon copy to that.
It's not a phase, it's chapter 1. It's not phase 1, it's chapter 1. Very different.
And also,
because they're calling chapter 1 Gods and Monsters.
Yes,
that being said, can I use that to bring in one of the trailers?
Yeah,
yes,
we go ahead and bring up the Flash.
Yeah.
Because the Flash, to me, I'm like, wasn't that just Far From Home? Wasn't
Or
that
No
the
Way
one
Home.
with
Yeah,
No Way Home?
basically, yeah.
Yeah.
That's just No Way Home.
Because we had, because we had Barry Allen seeing himself in another universe. Oh,
and
and
they're
that
bringing in
Batmans.
alternate versions of other heroes.
we have gone multiverse, like in all, like it's not even just Marvel. Like it's like in comics now, we're just like, okay, we're talking about the multiverse now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it very much felt like DC was like, oh, we got a multiverse thing too. Yeah. Me too, guys.
It's
like
weird.
DC is very much that little dog that's running it. Like, hey, buddy, can I come with you, boss? What are we doing, boss? Hey. You remember that was from the cartoons, the big bulldog and then the
Hey,
little
Spike,
yippy dog.
what do you think,
Thank you. That one. That's DC, and Marvel is Spike.
They've been trying to do this Flash movie since like 2014, I think. They announced this Flash movie before the Flash series started. And the Flash series is
wow.
about to end. It's ninth season, like an end the series, and before the movie comes out. So it's just and it's now
So,
it's
I didn't
gone
know
from
they
all these different
released
things.
it. I didn't know they'd mentioned it that early. I knew around the Justice League time, which I guess also is so much longer ago than we first realized. You know, that they would have been talking about Flash, and it just sat in development hell. And then obviously now it's sat in release hell, not just because of the pandemic, but because of Ezra Miller.
I was just gonna say the fact that he's still in this movie is jarring to me. I mean, because it's not like he like.
or I guess they.
Sorry, it's not like they just had like a DUI. You know, it's not like they had
a pattern
some,
of behavior that's
they had
problematic.
some pretty gnarly accusations of like false imprisonment and things of that nature.
There's been
Correct?
grooming.
There's been assault,
Yes.
assault, grooming, some kind of kidnapping and
That's
home
the one.
invasion.
Yes, the kidnapping, the false, like, buddy.
I
We
think-
need to talk about Ezra.
I think where they're getting a pass,
Fuck yeah, I knew you'd like that one.
and I know they're not getting it, but where they're kind of getting a pass is maybe just in the wildness of all this.
You think?
There's something about like when people do something utterly crazy, quote unquote, you know, that's
Sure.
so outside
Allegedly.
the norm.
We don't know that
you're
he's
just
been convicted.
Oh, that can't be who they are.
Right.
Surely home invasion is not something Ezra Miller gets up to for fun. You know, there had to have been so yeah. And
Until the fourth home
maybe I'm
invasion.
reaching.
They've done a little half and half. Like I feel like they've acknowledged that Ezra has done some bad things
That he's been problematic.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
studio is like they are going through I don't know if it's rehab or just like some sort of treatment. And James Gunn has said we'll reevaluate Ezra's position as the
Yes.
Flash after that, which a lot of people have said that's just code for we're not going to renew their contract.
Right? Yeah.
I see. So
It's
there's
a
a good
nice
likelihood
ambiguous
that
statement.
they're
Yeah.
not going to be the Flash in the next iteration of
Yeah.
the movie.
But they can't say that because they still got a movie to release. You know?
Sure.
Well, the
they're
statement
trying to.
covers
They
that.
want people to come.
Right.
It says that he is, or that they are addressing their issues, so that's good. And then
I hope they are. Yeah, for sure. Those are some issues.
right. But so that's kind of like giving viewers the pass. It's okay, you can go see it. They're
working on it.
I know
Right.
they're broken, but they're taking
Right.
care of it. And honestly, we've talked before on the show that if people are genuinely interested in rehabilitation and fixing inner issues, then they should be allowed to do so. We want people to
consistently endorse growth.
growth and change and whatnot. And then it does, like you say, it leaves them open to not work with them later. To just be like, you know what? They did their part, but it just wasn't enough for us. We're moving on. You know?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it leaves it open for like, say they're in a, some sort of an inpatient program and they leave early and don't finish the program and show, that they're not fully engaged in their own growth. At that point, the studio has that out to be like, we tried.
Or it could just be like, we would like them to continue to focus on their growth.
On themselves,
It's just,
yeah.
it's a process. It's
Right.
not over. We've got other movies to make, Thank God we talked about that universe.
Shouldn't kidnap people. I don't
do
think.
that.
Yeah, I don't think you should do that.
It's hard not to talk about the privilege aspect of it too, because I feel like if I had kidnapped a person and groomed a person, I'd probably be in jail, not in like therapy.
Yeah, you
Right,
probably
yeah,
you
right,
probably
yeah,
wouldn't be awaiting
absolutely.
trial in a movie studio.
Yeah. And then it raises the question: is like, did Warner Brothers enable a pattern of problematic behavior? And if they did, do you as a consumer want to go buy a ticket for that Flash movie?
Well, and exactly. And that's not even getting into the consumer question, because obviously Ezra alone is not that movie. There's an entire
Correct.
staff.
Right.
There's
That's why I bring up the enabling aspect, because that's
Right.
also tough.
so
It is. You're right.
So, but and especially on the heels of the Harry Potter game and the controversy over that among the gaming community versus people in the trans community speaking out against it and against J.K. Rowling. The question of ethical consumerism has been coming up a lot lately.
There is none.
And there is none, but that kind of blanket statement itself, it doesn't really absolve you of your
role in that.
Exactly. Right. So,
I vote with my wallet constantly while still knowing that I am not fully capable of ethical consumption.
Yeah. So, and because of that, I tend not to judge. I may not love that someone listens to Chris Brown, for example, but that's fine. You can do that. And again, someone who also hopefully maybe behind the scenes is working on themselves. I don't want anyone to be canceled forever. But
I mean, the people whose love for Michael Jackson's music just can't be taken away from them.
That's been the one that I've always been very voluntary about. Is I did not stop listening to Michael Jackson, and I have not.
We can't pretend that the music wasn't good.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because of what he did. You know what I mean? He did something bad. We can't pretend that those songs weren't.
So that being said,
amazing.
Do you guys know what your intent is for this movie? Do you guys plan to go in the theaters?
No.
Do you guys plan to rent or anything?
And it's not because of anything ethical. It's just because I'm not invested in these movies enough to pay for them at all.
Okay, so you probably wouldn't even seen it despite the controversy.
If we're just leaving the controversy out of it and we're saying, what do you think of this movie? Will you see this movie? I would watch it, but I would not pay for it in the theater. I would
stream it on HBO
I would
Max.
stream it, yeah, because I'm interested in seeing it enough for that, but I'm not interested enough for a theater. Yeah. Because especially my particular situation wherein going to the theater is quite a plan and an investment and so the thought of wasting a once every 3 month trip to the theater on The Flash, no, I'm gonna save it for something better, I hope.
What about you, Sam?
I'm definitely going to see it because, I mean, I am only human. They show me Michael Keaton returning as Batman. So, I mean,
that's the part where I'm like, I'm definitely going to stream it.
Yeah.
Because I want to see that.
Oh, yeah. And then Batman and Ben Affleck. I think we talked a little bit about the Snyder movies whenever you were on my show, Hilton, and just seeing Ben Affleck back as Batman. And they're going back to the ending to Man of Steel.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like, I don't like salt in the wound a little bit because going back to the Henry Cavill Superman situation, they announced that Henry Cavill was coming back in October, only later that month to be like, never mind, we're resetting the whole universe. Yeah. And now for this movie to be like, yeah, we're going back to his movie, not bringing him back though. We're replacing him with Supergirl, who looks great in the film. It's a little bit insulting for me. Yeah, the big alien spaceship at the end is the ending to Man of Steel. So that'll be the third time, if you count the ending to Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, where we revisit it from Bruce's perspective, and then now this movie. It's the third time they're showing us this battle, so they really love that battle. But seeing
they're like, man, Michael Shannon.
Yeah, Michael Shannon's going to be good back. He was also back in Batman versus Superman. Yeah. So they this is a third time, and they love their Michael Shannon.
It's been very interesting how much.
What a weird guy though.
I love in Man of Steel when he goes, "I will find him." He's like screaming, and he's such a cartoon villain. I love it.
He has such an interesting just delivery, and he's almost got a Walken-esque mystery about the way he speaks.
Oh, okay. I got to watch more and look for that.
It's not, and I'm not saying he sounds like Christopher Walken. I'm saying that sort of enigmatic thing that you can't describe about.
Yeah.
He has that.
All right, cool.
You said you were going to watch Man of Steel rewatch Man of Steel to get ready for Henry Cavill's return. But even though he's not coming back, Hilton, you should still watch Man of Steel, and you too, Zampino, for just for the context for the Flash.
I've seen it once before. It was forever ago.
Yeah, but a fresh view. I'm going to watch it again.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch that and then the 1989 Batman because you got to get hyped for Michael Keaton returning.
I'm fascinated by how much, just like you, how Man of Steel kind of became such a tentpole for that universe. And I mean, it makes sense in a way, but also it really shows that DC kind of had to build based on the groundwork that was already there. Mm-hmm. Because they have really tried so hard. Like if the DC EU had, or is that what it is?
It was the DC. The artist formerly known as the DCEU is now the DCU.
So the DCEU, if they had a chance to do better, this is an interesting kind of bow tie on top of so many of the things that have come before, and it's because of that. There's something that makes me kind of melancholy about this movie, and just factoring out the Ezra Miller stuff, who is a disappointment. It's sad that this movie gets to reference back to this, to put a bookend on Man of Steel, and that there's something so neat, and the continuity wonk in me is so loving.
Yeah,
this.
it feels like Endgame a little bit when they're going back to the all the parts that we loved about the Marvel movies, because this will be 2023 is 10 years since Man of Steel, so it will be exactly like the Endgame situation, but almost verbatim.
But it also just kind of makes me sad because it also kind of highlights all the missteps along the way.
What could have been?
Yeah,
what could have been? I make no bones about it. This is my worst trait about me, is that I love the Zack Snyder films. I think the Man of Steel is a very good film. I think Batman versus Superman, the Ultimate Edition, there's a lot there, and then even Zack Snyder's Justice League. That makes a really solid trilogy. And I think I said during our show, Hilton, that they would have. I think that if they would have let Zack Snyder have a little bit more time to do his actual thing instead of doing the studio's mandated Frankenstein version of his movies, then if they would have been a little bit more patient, we could have really had some good payoffs. But now you're talking about the missteps, and we're just kind of barely getting what we could have had.
And I think I agree with you too. Like I don't love the Zack Snyder films, but he has a unique and thorough vision. Mm-hmm. I don't love all of his choices.
Thorough, Jeffrey.
Thorough. But I've always said
Jeffrey.
You can't base your opinion on what you want it to be. You have to base it on what it is. And I don't love that he went with the older, grizzled Batman in Batman versus Superman, but Batfleck's journey has been a journey, and there's been stuff to watch. And I can't act like it hasn't been a robust story with him.
Yeah, he changed. He's a very dynamic. He changed more, I think, in the. I'm trying to think about to the Dark Knight movies, but I think Batman vs Superman gave Batman more of an arc than the Dark Knight movies really did, because he has such a huge moral change in that movie. And I know a lot of people are like, well, Sam, why didn't you like Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi? Because he kind of goes through a similar thing. And the difference between those two characters is that Batman, this is a rebooted version of Batman. It's not saying that, like, oh, since 1989, Michael Keaton became a guy who kills, or, well, he did kill people.
Yeah.
It's not saying that Christian Bale became a sad sack and ruined his life. Whereas Last Jedi was saying, actually, Return of the Jedi didn't pan out. And this is like a new, different take on Batman. So it's different things.
I think that's a BS question to be asking you also.
People ask me that. They're like, well, why did you like one but didn't like the other?
Because they're fucking different.
Good point.
You know?
Like in your fucking face, question asker.
And I mean, you get into it too with this is why, like, why I do enjoy the content you make, is because you hit on unique, you hit on strong angles. You put a lot of thought into this. The idea of a reboot versus an ongoing continuity, it frees you to in there. But also, Space Nephew and his battle in his family lineage versus my parents died and I'm fighting weirdos on the street. These are just two different stories. Fuck off. You know?
Well, Space Nephew and Bat Orphan.
Yeah, like, I mean, just well, this guy did this kind of similar thing. Yeah, but is anything else the same? Back off.
Space Nephew and Night Orphan.
Yeah. Space Nephew and Night Orphan.
I totally acknowledge that my love of the Snyder films is a glass house. So me being very outspoken about my love for one, and then talking so much shit about the Star Wars sequels, I totally get the situation I'm in.
Yeah. Well, should we go to Indiana Jones then?
Oh yeah, good segue.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's another one too that, there are some big missteps, but to get to see Indy's life over the course of 4, now 5 movies, there's some stuff to love.
There's no way I'm not going to see this one.
Yeah, same.
My love for Indiana Jones is pretty deep.
Yeah.
But I'm I'm like you are with the prequels. I kind of am that way with the Shia LaBeouf one. Mm-hmm. I just kind of pretend it didn't happen.
It's not good.
It's not good, and so I just kind of ignore it. You know, and that makes it to where I feel like my love for Indiana Jones can't be harmed.
Do you fear this one will also be poor?
It might be, but I'm still going to give it its shot because of my deep love for Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
like the 3 I love so much and have seen so many times. Mm-hmm. The idea of just another chance to hear the music.
I know, right?
And, those things. That's why I at least give it the one watch. And that's one that I am willing to do a theater watch for.
When I saw the teaser,
but I will be super fucking bummed if they
ruin it. Oh my gosh! Well,
I will be very upset.
The difference there is kind of like with the Star Wars prequels, where like George made the prequels and they were bad. I think that Revenge of the Sith is a halfway decent film, but meaning like half of that movie is okay. But yeah, they're pretty bad trilogy there. But
That's
at least
the one I liked the best.
Revenge of the Sith, yeah. But at least they were George's movies. With the difference with the sequels is somebody took George's movies and then kind of bastardized them, and that's my fear with Indiana Jones, because the fourth one is poor. But at least it was George and Steven Spielberg making him. So I'm like, all right, they got to do their thing, whatever. Wasn't for me. But then now they have other people doing it, and it's the same studio that did the Star Wars sequels. So it's like, if it's bad, I'm so afraid I'm gonna have the same feeling of like, wow, you took my toy and tore it apart in front of me. How dare you?
Yeah.
Did you like all three of the original?
Yeah, I love the originals, including Temple of Doom. Because a lot of people give that movie shit.
That's my favorite one. Okay,
that's
because it's insane.
It's so weird. Yeah, I
love it.
watched all three after that first teaser trailer that came out, where you were talking about the theme song, and when the first teaser trailer like had that bum, 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 I was like, oh my gosh,
go!
It was so exciting. So I went back and watched all three, and then I even watched the fourth one because I think I've reached the acceptance phase of yeah. So I'm just like, all right, it is what it is. I'll watch it and enjoy what I like about it. I like seeing the Russians as the bad guys. It's a nice change of pace. Hate the aliens. Hate the alien stuff. So
that's where it lost. Yeah, it was like, come on, man, make everything like. When it was tangible, at least. I mean, well, I say that
they become immortal in the third movie.
Yeah. So that's right out the fucking window, and they're ripping hearts out in Temple of Doom.
For me.
I immediately shit on my own. I'm an idiot.
Well, Raiders is the best one, probably. I think
Raiders is the best one, but then Raiders has that unique thing about the whole like where he doesn't impact the plot at all.
You're right. It would have all been the same if he wasn't even there.
Yeah,
but it don't have short round.
That's true. It does not have short round.
He's the
with his little
best part of that fucking movie. No Time for Love, Dr. Jones. I still say that all the time.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Anytime I'm like running late or somebody, I'm like, no time for love, Dr. Jones. Come on.
That fifth movie though, I'm a little worried though because it does have deep fake Harrison Ford, and it looks great in the trailer. I'm just curious, is it going to be
like
great
de-aged?
throughout? Yeah, the de-aged Harrison Ford. Is it going to look kind of like Tarkin and Rogue One a little bit? Because it looks great in the trailer, but those are the best shots, obviously.
Right.
And they also have Phoebe Waller-Bridge playing his goddaughter in the film. Phoebe Waller-Bridge previously played the L3, the feminist droid in Solo: A Star Wars Story, which was not a favorite of mine. So her style of she also
I love
that was
droid.
a visceral reaction.
Maybe you'll love her character. And she also did rewrites for, because she's a writer as well. She also did rewrites for No Time to Die, which added in, I don't know, I can't back up what parts of the film she wrote, but she was supposed to punch up the humor in No Time to Die, the James Bond movie, and some of the jokes didn't land for me in that film. So I'm a little skeptical of her involvement here.
What's the show she did 2 seasons?
Fleabag.
Did you watch that?
I did not, but I've heard it's very good. So
I liked that show.
I liked it a lot too, but I will say the humor.
But we've established I like shitty things.
Well, I don't.
I've heard it's good.
I enjoyed it.
I don't know that it's shitty. I think if anything, there's a dryness to the humor. There's a flippantness to some of the characters and storytelling that I think people could be turned off by.
Okay.
So when you do, I'd love to see what you think about it. Once if you
Fleabag
watch it. Fleabag, for sure.
It's kind of one of those shows that's like almost playing off of its uneasiness. Like
exactly. It definitely plays in unease.
Yes.
For sure.
I feel like I always confuse that with Girls, the Lena Dunham show with Adam Driver, because those are they're probably very different. But I'm like, oh, two shows that are similar.
I've never seen.
I saw a little bit of Girls, and I would say I do believe they're pretty different.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's so fascinating about Fleabag is there's interesting elements of character backstory that are hugely pertinent to the overall arcs of the show, but that they drip out to you. So there's a lot to learn about the characters. Highly recommend.
Okay,
it's 2 seasons. It's 6 episodes each. You could be done in an afternoon.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, I love that.
Super short.
Before we get too far off of the Indiana Jones subject and the depth of that music, I believe they're making a documentary about John Williams.
Oh, that would be cool.
I'm very excited about. Do you want to see if maybe we can find any info? I just recently saw, and I hope I'm correct, but I believe that Steven Spielberg is going to be making it.
Talk about a legend.
Yeah, it looks like
Amblin TV. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Jurassic Park. Yeah, Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones, Star Wars. You
Jaws
name
is
it.
a great
Jaws
soundtrack too.
Yeah, John Williams has done the music for most of your favorite movies from childhood.
Yeah, that'll be a cool one, and obviously that's one of those things where a lot of those scores are going to probably be incorporated into the movie. So it's not only going to be a fascinating story, but it's going to invoke so many feelings of nostalgia throughout. It's kind of made for our generation.
I mean, John Williams is the perfect example of sort of the underappreciated importance of the score, because people that really know movies and like movies talk about John Williams the way we do. You know what I mean? But the average person doesn't really put a lot of thought into the score of, you know what I mean?
I guess so, yeah.
But like if you take a lot of movies, if you change that score even a little bit, the entire feel of the movie is gone. You know what I mean? Like you put yakety sax under that, and it's fucking a whole different feel.
Think about that trailer. You guys have probably seen that. It was an internet meme for a minute where they recut Ferris Bueller as like a horror movie.
Oh yeah,
you know, and it's you add some ominous music to something.
They did the same thing with Ladybugs, the Rodney Dangerfield, Jonathan Brandis vehicle. They did it like a David Lynch movie style.
I think they did the opposite with the show You, which I've been watching on Netflix right now. It's very good. It's very addicting. But the show You, they recut it without all his narration and put some happy music underneath, and it looks like a cute rom-com instead of what it is.
Oh wow,
Instead of being quite dark.
yeah.
That's so funny.
But John Williams, though, he transcends the because you were talking about the average moviegoer doesn't really think about the score. It just kind of is there and adds to the move. But I think John Williams is like almost like a rock star in like a Danny Elfman kind of way, where like people know, even if you're not a film buff or listen to music scores often, you know John Williams is where it is.
He's one of those names that I think has probably got a little bit more bleed into the general public. Just because he's so big, you know. But I mean,
poor Danny Elfman he can only do a couple types of movies.
Yeah. Have you guys seen Danny? This is such a sidetrack. Have you seen Danny Elfman's any of his stuff from Coachella that he did like last year, 2 years ago?
It was fucking rad.
I've never had FOMO so bad in my life. I'm like, I should have been in
rad.
at that concert.
He's also fucking cut.
Yeah. He's in shape.
Ripped, bro.
Wow.
Yeah, and plays shirtless. Like,
It was awesome. He's got all these tattoos. I knew none of this. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, Danny Elfman's pretty rad. He's a cool dude.
left Oingo Boingo and went hard, huh?
Yeah, he did.
Damn.
I think he was going hard in Oingo Boingo.
He did some Oingo Boingo songs at Coachella.
He did. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he did a bunch of he did some
Simpsons,
Oingo Boingo,
yeah.
and then he did just a bunch of like his score work.
Man, I'm gonna say it again, Oingo Boingo, just because it's fun.
I know, right?
This does look good though, and I kind of getting a sense that there's gonna be some kind of tie back to the old Indiana Jones movies, not just in the de-aging, but something about that Dial of Destiny to me.
Oh, I thought they were going to introduce dial-up.
That's what it is.
The dial-up Destiny.
He finds a modem.
I was thinking about, could you imagine when it goes to the title card, instead of playing the dun 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 dun, you just hear.
Oh man, we played that on the show recently.
Yeah.
Man,
Talk about nostalgia.
for real, like it was a visceral reaction from everybody. We were all just like no words, just
That's what that sounds like.
Noise.
oh wow,
They have that
the
90s
weirdest
show.
ASMR.
Yeah, they had that 90s show, which is okay. I like it for nostalgia, and I just turned my brain off.
You
But
like
they
it
have,
so far? Okay, cool.
Yeah, they have Kitty Foreman get on the internet there, which is just something I would never expect to see because it's set in the
Okay.
90s. And she's like, she shouldn't be doing that. But they played the dial-up song or the sound in it, and I was like, that's my childhood right there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now that you said dial-up song, I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna sample that.
Oh no.
Make it a song. Oh man. Oh yeah, we got to touch on this one too. Absolutely.
Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Oh, also, this one, Guardians 3, and then Flash, we both saw long trailers, but I did appreciate how Indiana Jones was like, we only need 30 seconds.
Oh yeah.
There'll probably be a longer one, but yeah, they're
There
like,
is.
Oh, okay.
There is a longer one, but for the Super Bowl.
Sorry, yes.
They just like throw him out of a plane, show the girl, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Oh, and say Nazi.
Say Nazi, of
Yeah.
course, yeah.
I was a little surprised to hear that. I was like, in an age of where like, I don't want to get demonetized. I'm like, there's all these
yeah.
like words. You can't say the F word on like fuck on. I said it just now.
No, it's okay.
You can't say it on YouTube in the first like 5 minutes of your videos now or something like that. Or else. So anyway,
Really?
I've been thinking about all this while I've been making all these videos, and I watched that trailer, and immediately when I hear Nazi, I'm like, he's gonna get demonetized.
Oh man.
I don't think I don't think they'll demonetize you if you're fighting Nazis.
That's that's you got it. Yeah, as long as you say I hate Nazis, you're fine.
I got to have the words around it.
It's always okay to hate Nazis. That's the
fucking
lesson.
A right.
Yeah.
APN baby.
Yeah.
Always punch Nazis.
Guardians 3 looks
Jinx.
good. You owe me a genetically engineered raccoon.
Oh,
speaking
I
of
was
which,
just going to
though-
sing you a Coca-Cola jingle.
The raccoon, he looks so cute in this movie. You get to see Rocket's origin story is
Yeah.
something I never knew I wanted to see. But man, they're so good at making cute little things. Like what was in the last
I like
couple
Baby
movies?
Groot.
They had Baby
Yeah.
Groot, and now they're gonna have Baby Rocket. And I'm just like, I already know that I'm gonna need a plushie of that.
And he looks like he makes like a little otter friend or something. Like
Oh,
he's
that will
hugging
make
the otter.
that
Oh
will
my
make an
gosh.
amazing plushie.
Yeah.
And then we get, I think his name is Cosmo. He's the
space dog.
The space dog. Cosmo Kramer. No.
No, he's canceled.
He knows what he did.
He's canceled.
He does have golden retriever energy though.
Cosmo Kramer.
Cosmo Kramer.
For
I
sure.
can picture
He
a golden
does, yeah.
retriever just busting into Jerry's apartment.
Yeah.
Oh, I was like, is this Airbuds? Airbuds
Go to space.
Yeah, Air Buddies go to space.
The air space buddies.
That's a deep cut though. Cosmo the space dog.
Yeah. Well, and they previewed him, I think, in the first one, maybe.
Yeah, one of them.
I think maybe he was in the collector's little area after it blew up or whatever. Because you remember how you see Howard the Duck at the end of the
Yeah,
first Guardians
yeah.
movie? I think Cosmo's there too.
Okay.
I didn't realize that she was going to be voiced by Maria Bakalova from Borat's subsequent movie film. I knew that she was going to be in Guardians 3,
That's
but
cool.
I didn't realize that that was her role, which is kind of
She
funny.
was so good in that.
She was good in
Yeah.
Borat. She was also good in Bodies, Bodies, Bodies last year, which was a hugely underrated film. I don't know if you
don't
guys
even think
saw
I
it.
heard about
It's-
that.
You would think it's so funny, I think. I think you guys
Yeah.
would both really like it because there's a lot of, like, it's hard to do modern self-referential humor, but like one of the characters is a podcaster, another's like an influencer, and it's
Okay.
like, and you'd think it'd be cringe, but it's really good actually. And
Nice.
Maria Bakalova was good in it.
Nice. That's good. And good too, because one of the things that we watched a lot of trailers.
She got
today.
Giuliani in trouble.
She did, didn't she?
Fuck yeah,
guys,
she did. Giuliani got himself in trouble.
Yeah, come on.
Sorry.
Credit where it's
Yeah.
due, but
That was poorly worded.
yeah, Giuliani doesn't take much. You know,
That's
just
true.
Take a little hair dye in a landscaping company.
But
You get Giuliani in trouble.
Her good acting led to a scenario where Giuliani got himself in trouble.
Yeah,
How about that?
I'm just reading about her audition process for Borat, and she thought because it was so secret. She thought she might be being human trafficked or something because they weren't telling her what it was really about. And then she got in the Giuliani situation. I'm like, damn, that movie for her just must have been a nightmare.
Right.
What an experience. So she got all the weirdness of like 70s Hollywood in a long weekend.
Jesus. And but Borat though, talk about making like a because Borat in 2006, a lot of people like to be like, oh, you couldn't make this today, and
Yeah.
then they did, and it was
Right?
just as funny.
Sasha Baron Cohen
God
was like,
bless
watch
him.
me.
Yeah.
I love him. Yeah.
Not only an unflinching attitude when it comes toward putting himself out there, but also a willingness to challenge himself to find a way. you know,
Yeah,
which
and
is-
pretty. I hate a pretty active activist.
Yeah.
Those two words together.
Yeah, he's
But yeah, he's
active activism.
Goes to show you can do the shock humor and you can do the quote unquote
activist.
Yeah, you can do the quote unquote offensive humor, but as long as there's a context around it to where the audience recognizes this behavior is not being endorsed by the
Correct.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't be
You're-
offensive and be funnier than you are offensive.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
man. But yeah, Indiana Jones, I'm down. Also, you mentioned-
Guardians 3, we didn't
Guardians,
get to.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
we
great
were
one.
going to Guardians.
Oh yeah, we
buddy.
went all over.
Yep, you got you.
I am going to cry during this movie. I already know.
They've already
Maybe
already
more than
established
once.
like, hey, we already let you know that we can make you cry,
Yeah.
and this isn't the last movie.
Yeah.
So get ready for the last one.
Yeah.
because you're gonna cry a lot.
They have so many lines though, where he's like, "Are you guys ready for one last ride?" And then
Yeah,
Drax
this
is,
is-
like, "I'm so happy to have served with my friends." And then they're like, "We're gonna fly off into the sunset together." And then
There's a lot of last trip energy. Here.
oh my god, one last ride, guys! Oh, it's so sad. Or not sad. It's melancholy, I guess.
yes.
I'm torn. Part of me is getting a little sad and tired of Marvel saying goodbye. We say goodbye a lot in Marvel lately.
We're also meeting a lot of new people. I think with Phase 4, there was so much like, oh, now we get to meet Moon Knight, and now we get to meet Ms. Marvel,
Well-
and now we get all this stuff.
and
Got to say goodbye to say hello.
but also when we don't say goodbye,
Fucking deep,
when we don't say goodbye, we get recasting. And that's the one thing that Marvel has done very carefully.
Yeah.
Fair.
Either little
Very little recasting.
you know, and it's very rarely in major roles. You know, Rhodey being one of the few.
I was going to say, Terrence Howard's like, what am I, chopped liver?
Yeah, and it's like, sorry, buddy, maybe.
Well, if you count Edward Norton, that was a pretty big
him
one,
too.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Edward Norton, Terrence Howard, and then most recently, through
Harrison Ford, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, he's going to come. He's going to play William Hurt's role.
William Hurt, who unfortunately passed
yeah,
away.
yeah.
You have to there.
And that's an interesting one because obviously, you know, with the passing of Chadwick Boseman, they made a conscious decision not to recast, and I think that's part of it too. Is we said goodbye to that character recently, even though we all said goodbye to Chadwick years ago. You know, we kind of had to revisit that with Wakanda Forever, and you know, now with Guardians 3, there's been rumors for a while that we're going to say goodbye to at least one cast member, and that trailer.
Well, we
Might
know
be more than
saying
one.
we know we're saying bye to Batista.
Yeah, because Batista said
He's
not coming
already
back.
said he's done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it seems like James Gunn. Well, I mean, obviously he's the new co-chairman of DC Studios, but he seems like he's a little over the Marvel thing. So I wouldn't be surprised if him as the writer director wants to put a big bow on this. So he's like, hey, don't butcher my franchise after I leave. You know?
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I love a good end of the line story. I love
The James Gunn stuff's the only DC stuff I've liked.
Oh,
Yeah.
the
Like the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker.
Yeah.
Peacemaker, surprise! Oh, the guy from I think one of you guys
Peacemaker
pointed out the guy from Peacemaker's back in this.
Yeah, Peacemaker ruled.
Yeah.
I just rewatched it again. It's so fucking funny.
The ending to the Suicide Squad is one of my favorite comic book moments in recent memory. The part where the rats all come in and they tie it into that character's her dad's storyline.
Yeah, that
and
little
they
bit
tie
with her dad and Taika
was-
Waititi.
Yeah,
It
and
was
they tie
very
it into
sweet.
they tie it into Idris Elba's storyline as well, and everybody gets a moment at the end of that movie. It's such a good film, but Peacemaker was good too.
Yeah, but the guy that played Myrn, the guy that was running the outfit,
Yes.
he's going to be back as the High Evolutionary in Guardians 3. I'm not going to attempt to say the actor's name because I will butcher it.
Right.
So, but I'll get on that for another episode.
Chukwudi Iwuji?
Fuck you.
Just say it confidently, and you
Nailing
know
it. Nailing it right first time.
I
Appreciate
thought
you.
I'd try.
Now, you know what it is. You know what? Pulling back the curtain. You have a show tonight, which means you have been practicing speaking for a couple days now.
I haven't though. I started preparing this morning. Hilton, I haven't wrote a set in so long that I was like,
It's weird, right?
my handwriting has changed since the last time I wrote a set. Comparing it now to the last set I wrote, I'm like, oh man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to read my fucking gross handwriting.
This is a little bit of a sidebar. Do you guys? I use Google Docs whenever I do the monologues for my show, which is the closest thing I do to a set. But like, does it help to have it handwritten, or do you ever do like a Google Doc or a notes or whatever?
If I could afford to stay in printer ink, I'd probably print stuff more often.
Yeah.
No, I handwrite sets mostly out of
That's
both
better than the
habit. It's way better than the phone because you're not having to worry about it going to sleep.
Yes. Yes, it's right there the whole time.
It's a little bit larger. I just set it on my stool right next to my water.
I was going to ask if you have because Bill Maher has like a music sheet thing that he brings. A little lazy when you go pay $60 to see Bill Maher and he brings a little.
Here's my
music
thing.
sheet
There's
thing.
a lot of back and forth discussion about comedians and using notes.
yeah.
I've seen plenty of comedians, headlining comedians, pull it off just fine.
Jerry Seinfeld. Did you guys see Jerry Seinfeld when he came this last time?
I didn't
He was
see
the
him.
worst about it. Like I think
Really?
he's realized he's reached a point where he's like, I don't have to really. I don't want to say try because obviously he's Jerry Seinfeld. He's trying. He's writing all this material. It's great. A lot of it though was from his book. Is This Anything? And a lot of it was like, all right, let me go see what I have next. And I'm like stopping the show to do it. I'm like,
See,
if I paid
no.
$60 to.
See, for me, there's an art to it to looking at my notes. You know, you do it during a laugh. You go get a sip of water and you just
And you
glance down.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have it on the stool next to the water,
Yeah.
so they don't even realize that you're doing it.
Right.
I saw online a stand-up bit or a 10-minute, like a set where the guy was he made like a recurring bit out of it almost, where he was like, don't look at the notes, don't look, and then like 7 minutes in, he finally and everybody goes and it's like I was like I thought that was a smart way to incorporate it.
Yeah. For me, I have accepted the fact that I have memory issues. That while I will remember my jokes, remembering the order in which I want to tell them
how to do
is
it
a
all.
fucking thing that I've never been able to master it.
Do you do the bullet points kind of thing, or
Yes,
just like
no, I don't write them. They're definitely not written out verbatim. It's essentially almost like a set list.
That's smart.
And that's a thing that I've talked about once before on the show is that it was a thing almost coming like from being in bands.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like a security blanket to have my set list.
Yeah.
You finish one joke or one song. Oh, what's the next song? I can't remember. You know.
Because like my opening monologue, I have my Google Doc open like right below my camera, like almost like a teleprompter, except I have to manually, go through it. So I had it, and whenever I did stand up one time so far, but I just copy pasted my monologues, the best of my monologues into a set, and so I had it all there and
verbatim.
Wouldn't probably do that again.
Yeah, it's too much to get distracted by.
Yes, absolutely.
The exceptions are if I've for example, tonight I'm doing a bunch of brand new stuff that I've never done before.
Yeah.
So
Might be a little bit more.
I'll have more bullet points than I would normally to help me remember, the structure that I'm going for. But then at the same time, I'm also kind of working out its final form on stage in the moment.
Yeah.
So
But
memory is a real bitch, you guys. It's real hard, especially if you party really, really hard in your 20s.
That's the thing, guys. Be good to yourselves in your 20s so that you can remember shit in your 40s.
Oof. Marijuana. Why forget tomorrow what you could forget today?
Yeah, because marijuana was the one that fucked you up.
No, it definitely was not.
But yeah, I'm definitely in the theaters for Guardians for sure.
Yup.
Marvel movies will still get me in the theaters. That's the thing.
For the most part.
Yeah, there's very little that they're putting out that I will not go see. I had no interest in the characters of the Eternals, but was still so curious.
I did
by
wait
it.
for streaming for that one.
That's
Did
the one.
you?
That was an easy skip.
Did you guys both see it though? Did you see Sam?
I still haven't seen it.
Not impressed by it. A lot of people are like, "Oh, you're so wrong," or not me particularly, but I've seen articles like, "Why you're wrong about Eternals," and I'm like, it was boring. Sorry. Sometimes my critiques are like 45 minutes long and it's like very in detail, but sometimes like boring movie.
Boring.
Skip.
Yeah, it's.
I was bored. What do you want from me?
There's very little that I've ever been even curious to see again.
Sam's show this week was 15 seconds long.
You just said it was boring.
What's
it called?
It was just
Eternals.
It was just an intro, and then he said it was boring, and then the credits.
Yep.
The monologue was just a big thumbs down.
It was just emoji.
If I could, I don't know if you guys have seen Ant-Man yet. I just saw Ant-Man last night.
I have not
and,
yet.
It's thumbs down.
Oh no!
Really?
Oh,
Okay.
no.
All right.
So that'll be the review for that.
Well, and I'm
Sucks.
seeing a lot of negative critique on that already.
Yeah,
so.
it's bad, and I hated Loki, and it's a lot of the bad things about Loki they expanded on. So unfortunate. But again, I'm not everybody. So a lot of people are. I see you, Hilton, making a face. Did you like Loki?
I love Loki.
Exactly.
I'm fine.
So yeah, you'll be great.
But
So I'll
that's the
probably
thing.
love this movie.
But
then.
that's the thing is I'm also of a unique breed. I have not disliked a single Phase 4 property.
Yeah, you are very unique.
Yeah, and that's the thing. and like I've even this morning I was kind of thinking about it. True story, because there's so much hate. There's so
I know, it was
every
just-
comment.
See, I'm
section-
about to revert into that
I was
guy
going
that
to
I
say
talked
Sam's
about.
reaction was
Everyone's-
like, "You are unique." So much so, in fact, that I'm about to fight you.
even a lot of the nicest ones that I see online, the comments, and obviously the comments aren't everything because there's plenty of folks that don't comment. But
Yeah.
even some of the most generous comments are like, it was kind of mid, you know. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
When you have the highs though of Phase 3, like starting off with a banger in Civil War and then coming to an absolute like amazing high point with Infinity War, it just I think once you reach that high point, it's hard to reach those highs again, especially when they should have treated Phase 4 like another Phase 1, like which they did in some ways, but they still had the world ending in every single movie, like so it's you can
see, that's interesting.
It's hard. I mean, in Iron Man 1, it was like a business like thing. Like he was trying to stop the guy from taking over Stark Industries. It wasn't like the world was about to end.
That's a great point.
So yeah, when you have Eternals like literally destroying the world.
Yeah, because Eternals was about the world.
Multiverse of Madness
was about the world. Shang-Chi.
what else?
I don't know if Shang-Chi was treated as global stakes, but
what happens is you
That one was
that
elevate-
monster felt
Yeah.
like global
Oh yeah, they did a
stakes.
big monster at the end.
Yeah,
You're right.
there was
Yeah.
a big CGI monster fight.
Yeah, they elevated too quickly. It's like,
Yes.
fuck, we did a world ending too early.
Yeah,
No,
where do you go in the next one?
It's hard to do it's hard to do Obadiah Stane again from a CEO perspective.
But
it's
even-
hard to do Obadiah Stane again in your movie. When you have done
100% forgot
time
that was
travel,
his name.
serve, save
Jeff
the
Bridges
world.
bald though. That's
know,
how I
I'm
remember
so
him.
What
sorry,
a
but-
stupid haircut.
when you said it,
Stupid haircut on him.
when you said
Bald.
Callback.
What a loser.
when you said it, I didn't remember that was the character's name, and I was like, "What are you saying?"
You're like, no one is
Who?
named Obadiah. Fuck you.
I would counter though with
Only
That
a
kind
bald-
of was. As I was like, nobody.
Yeah.
There's nobody named Obadiah
Only
in
a
real life.
bald man
Generic
would be named
bad guy.
Obadiah.
Yeah, only a bald idiot would have
Fuck
that.
him.
but no, he shaved his head for that movie, which I appreciate that he was like, no, I want to
No bald cap on for me, baby.
Exactly, and now you can't say that for a lot of the Marvel movies nowadays, and they all feel. I think my opening line in my
There's
monologue,
no bald cap on me.
There is so much. There's cost cutting. There's
Right.
cost cutting. There's
Yes.
saving money. There's
You don't
trimming.
have that,
and that's the thing is there's not that sense of going as all in to create as good a product as possible.
You know when you screenshot an image so many times that it becomes super pixelated by the end, and
Yeah.
it's like, or you copy, you Xerox something so many times
Yeah.
that like you can barely see what it originally was. That's what it feels like we're at with Marvel, and that's unfortunate because I was going to say you say it's hard to go from the world ending in the first movie to something smaller in the second movie. I would counter with the Suicide Squad because the world there was a big blue beam at the end of the first Suicide Squad movie, and then James Gunn made the second movie about a coup in South America, and I'm like, that's
Starfish?
yeah,
mean,
Starfish. But really, at its heart, it was about a coup in South America, an American military intervention,
Yeah.
which is in a comedy movie, you know, and it
Right.
was handled so well.
Well, but even the Starfish felt like a step back from a world ending. Like it
Right,
was
right.
It was more like instead of the world blowing up, like here's a kaiju.
And even then, the CGI monster at the end of the first Suicide Squad movie looked like dog shit. In the second, Starro was a big CGI monster, but it looked
fantastic.
Yeah, it looked great.
that movie, you great points, but that movie might have a bit of an asterisk because of the
Steroids?
first Suicide Squad had such negativity
Yeah.
that James Gunn may have gotten a bit more of a blank check than a lot, at least in terms of permission, than a lot of other
You can do
people
whatever you want with this. Yeah.
And I
That movie didn't really hit that many home runs. It needs an asterisk.
it's a question that I've been asking myself a lot about Marvel, especially with Phase 4, is that am I just a fan of this world and characters enough
Right.
that stuff that is a 7 instead of a 10 is fine for me? That I'm just not, I just don't care.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, like this morning, I really sat there and I thought about like which ones have been some of my least favorite. Like
What did you come to?
I didn't love Moon Knight as much because it was a little slow in parts.
Okay.
And because they didn't, there was a little too much of the whole cutting away when the action happened.
Yeah.
I did skip that one.
But but
I didn't finish it. It lost me.
right, yeah. But
And
also
few of them lost me.
But who was the villain in that? Ethan Hawke was so good.
Oh, he was
Yeah.
in that one.
And the female lead, I can't remember her name. I'm so sorry, actors.
It's a very memorable show.
Right, exactly, yeah. Or we got to go to Egypt. I mean, there were so many cool things there that I was like, I still can't hate it, you
Yeah.
know? Or
Wonder Woman 84 took you to Egypt too, and it wasn't that great.
really? See, I didn't see Wonder Woman 84.
I think of the
Me too.
series that we've had, I think WandaVision still tops for me.
I liked WandaVision a lot. Actually, maybe it was because it was the very beginning of Phase 4, so I hadn't been quite as jaded yet. But I am one of the few people that actually really liked WandaVision.
I fucking loved it.
See, I think that was a bit of a misstep for them to release so early because it really set such unusual expectations for a lot of people that I think when everything else was more of just a standard narrative.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of people liked WandaVision more than the rest of the line.
Yeah, the way it dealt with like grief and trauma and
Yeah.
all that stuff in a very like heady kind of way, it was, or not heady, but like made it like
No, you're
larger
right.
than life.
It
kind
was
of.
more, and it was more cerebral than some of the other shows because of the metatextual nature of it.
It did become a big CGI fight at the
Oh,
end,
yeah,
which
yeah.
all Marvel movies do.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, it had more there than something like.
And Catherine fucking Hahn.
Yeah, right?
yeah, she was great in it. Yeah,
She is really.
I don't know if I want to see a whole show about her, but they're
Right,
going to give us
yeah.
one regardless.
We'll see.
I do. Because I think she's just such a great comedic actress that I find her that engaging.
And I guess that's another thing too.
Like I would watch a series of just her campaign manager role from Parks and Rec.
But like I'll watch an Agatha show just to see what it's about. But
Yeah.
like I won't expect it to be Civil War.
Right,
Same
for
with,
sure.
Like, it's good to know what you're getting into. Yeah,
For sure, yeah. I'm not going to go in with a ton of expectations, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like I think it'll be enjoyable. I think it'll be funny.
Yeah. Sometimes it gets a little frustrating though because it's like I guess you have to meet them where they're at.
Yeah.
But sometimes like, oh, you're using your limited resources for something like this instead of something like that, you know. So I am a little bit disappointed. Like the Marvel stuff on Netflix, I thought was a great tone to differentiate themselves from. So I would just love to see more stuff like that and less stuff like the comedies.
But that's the thing too. That's hard for me is like the Daredevil season 1 and 2. I haven't seen 3 yet on Netflix.
It's great.
1 and 2 are so good, and I've enjoyed them so much. But then I know in season 3, which again I'm sure I'll love because it's going to be great. It was by the same team, but I know that they went a different way with Bullseye.
Yeah.
And it's like or with like Luke Cage, they changed so much of his story. And that's one thing that I do have to credit the Disney Plus shows is they've largely done a good job of sticking to the stories very similar to comics.
Is it because of how good Colin Farrell did Bullseye?
Ant-Man, right?
Yeah, they do the same thing. Well, because I
know there's a couple. Like I know there's a real big one that's very different.
Yeah, I don't know what is a spoiler and what's not a spoiler, but they change a comic book character significantly to the point where in my monologue I say like, what is the point of bringing in a comic book character if you change everything about him? Am I just supposed to be, or even Kang? I guess because I'll just go that route because it's it's less of a spoiler. They obviously haven't introduced the Fantastic Four yet. Yeah. And in the comics, Kang is Nathaniel Richards, which is a descendant of Reed Richards.
Exactly.
And you can't, and that's why we like the characters, because of the personal relationships with the main characters and see how they bounce off of each other. Now, if you strip all that away and just say, no, Kang is a mustache twirling villain now, and it's like, well, that's not what I wanted.
Well, that's like, to go back to Black Widow. Like, I don't love the fact that they abandoned the original Taskmaster concept. But luckily, I feel like there's a chance that they can still bring that in later, and this character was at least interesting.
Like a Mandarin kind of thing, right? Where they're like, oh, this isn't the real Mandarin.
Save it with the man. Like, so,
I thought you guys were... I thought you were fucking up the word Mandalorian for a second. I forgot about the Mandarin.
The Mandarin.
Like, I was like, do you... Wait, I was like, why are you bringing up the Mandalorian?
No. Yeah, the villain from Iron Man 3, which everyone was disappointed by.
Ben Kingsley, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or he played like was an actor.
Yeah, he was just using the title of the Mandalorian, and then they're like, well, we'll give you the real Mandalorian in the Shang-Chi movie, and then which I was going to make the joke like it's a little bit disappointing because the Shang-Chi movie didn't quite live up to the expectation of the Mandarin, because the Mandarin's supposed to be like this like Thanos level threat, and even I think both attempts were a bit of a swing and a miss, which is disappointing.
Gotcha.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff with Marvel right now. It's like I think it's interesting because we reached the really really deep lore phase of it, which is a good and bad thing because. You just get so zany in something like Ant-Man.
Well, and I was going to say, I think maybe I have a little bit of an advantage being that I was a comic book fan growing up, but I'm not as deep in the lore as someone like Hilton, so I'm not as attached.
Well, Hilton reads a lot of the current comics too, and that's what it seems like Marvel today, and even DC to an extent, is trying to reflect the current comics, which I find to be a really weird choice because I mean we all appreciate the stuff from our childhood. Right, so I don't know.
There's a ghost coming in the studio right now.
There's a ghost in my house.
No, it's just the door didn't get closed all the way when Hilton went to make pee-pees.
What an asshole.
A little peek behind the curtain.
It's
old weak bladder Hilton. That's what they call him.
I'm very proud of myself for being able to. I am one Americano down and one water down, and I'm
and a bottle of water. And still haven't had to go.
And I'm waiting until I absolutely need to because I'm just treating it like the Joe Rogan experience.
Lucy, you're not allowed on this show. The dog has made an appearance in the studio.
Oh my gosh, you are so sweet. You are so sweet. See, I have a cat at home, so I don't usually get this pleasure of petting a dog.
Of someone that wants your attention.
Oh no, my cat. You're not one of those guys, are you? You don't hate cats, do you?
No. But cats are very much on their own terms.
They are very independent.
Yeah, they're very much like you get me whenever I want you to have me, and that's it. Lucy is like at all times, please God,
right now,
never stop touching me.
Hilton, do you find it a problem that the current Marvel and DC movies are reflecting the modern superhero comics, or like I kind of wish they would stick to pre-2000 Marvel comics?
Yeah, it's so because especially in we've got with Phase 5 or 6 coming down the pike, we've got Avengers: Secret Wars, which I'm guessing in many ways hopes to harken back to the original 1980s crossover Secret Wars, which is one of the first crossovers that ever came out. But then we have stuff like Civil War, which kicked off season 3 or Phase 3, which is, I believe, a 2005 Marvel crossover.
Oh, see, yeah, and I like Civil War, so maybe they should.
It's a tough question because some of those classic stories obviously gained that status for a reason.
Yeah.
And for some of the older comic heads or newer heads that are just checking out some of the best, there's going to be great points to touch on there, great narratives. There's a reason those stories have lasted. But some of the modern stories have had the benefit of having modern context, which has kind of added a viability that others might not.
But there's also, you could also make the timelessness argument of something a little bit older.
Exactly.
It just depends, I guess, on your. I guess the reason I think this is at the forefront for me is going back to James Gunn's DC announcement. The Supergirl movie is going to be based on a run, I think, from like last year or 2 years ago.
Tom King's Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow.
Is that a good? Do you know if it's a good run or not? I'm just a little bit skeptical of something so recent being adapted so quickly.
I haven't read it.
Okay,
but and I think it's Tom King. It might be Tom Taylor. It's definitely one of the two.
One of the Toms.
Either way, it is a highly acclaimed series.
King of Toms.
So I have faith that it's a good source material.
Okay.
What concerns me is the idea of introducing Kara as possibly a more aggressive or warlike a Kryptonian because she was more closer to adulthood when she saw Krypton destroyed.
Yeah.
And
They set the bar pretty high with the Helen Slater one.
the one from the 86 or whatever. No, don't you dare. That's yeah,
That's Billie Jean, baby.
you distracted me.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's the movie you're talking about, right? The old
Supergirl.
Supergirl
Yeah,
movie.
yeah,
The one
with Helen Slater,
Yeah.
not related to Christian Slater, even though she played his sister in a movie called The Legend of Billie Jean.
Interesting.
You ever seen The Legend of Billie Jean? You're a
I have
movie
not,
guy.
no.
Oh, that's one worth dipping into just because it's a wild story.
Yeah.
And it's got Yeardley Smith in it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's worth
From The
watching.
Simpsons?
Yep.
Yeah.
The biggest takeaway of Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, or any Supergirl story that touches on her being far older than Kal-El when she was sent away from Krypton, should not be that she's aggressive. That should not be the takeaway. And that's kind of the biggest concern that I have, and that I've seen a few other people worry about the James Gunn announcement, is that he may be pushing for an aggressive, and I know I keep using that word, but I just can't think of a better one, versus Clark, who is a peaceful, reactive superhero. You know, Kara's a great character, and her story of adjusting to life on Earth can be told, and can be told well, but it has typically been told well when she interacts with a Clark who's already been here to kind of be that offset for her. So, yeah, as far as those announcements go, that is one of the ones that does have me kind of concerned.
The Batman thing is also a little bit not the Batman part 2, but the Batman the Brave and the Bold with Damian Wayne, Batman's son, as the Robin. I'm skeptical of bringing in a Robin at any point because it's 1997 Batman and Robin leaves a very bad taste in my mouth, and having the idea of Batman, who I think works best as a loner, have a whole family around him, kind of takes away that. But in the Damian Wayne thing, going back, is a very modern, I think, aspect of the mythos.
Damien's been around for about 10 years. It really goes back to your question from a moment ago about there's obviously Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, Tim Drake. You could get Stephanie Brown in there if you want to talk about previous Robins.
But we've already had a billion, I guess, Batman movies where he's a loner. So, I mean, you can mix it up, I guess.
Yeah, and that's one reason why I'm glad to see this, was because besides
Batman needs
Chris
friends
O'Donnell's
too.
run. Well, and there are a lot of people that still make the argument for a loner Batman. For
Can't
many
rain all the
reasons.
time.
But the funny thing is, that's a different movie.
I know.
The funny thing is,
comic book though,
is Batman's family is fucking massive, and the Robins are far from the majority of it. And I mean, to go down a
their
list,
last name is Robin.
they're
Robins, the Robin family.
Dick Robin, Jason Robin, Tim Robin, Stephanie
Wait, no,
Robin,
I was
Damian
genuinely
Robin.
asking. I'm sorry. You were saying plural Robins.
No, I mean Dick, Jason, Tim, Stephanie,
all the
Damien, and
the various artists who carry the mantle.
Grayson,
Carrie Kelly.
Yes.
If you want to go over to Dark Knight Returns,
Okay.
yeah,
That's what I wanted to say. I wanted
boy,
to see
oh boy,
that.
I just had like a moment where I was like, did I not know that?
But it's a challenge, and it's such a thing, because I mean, the legacy of the Robin mantle and the characters and the individuals who've worn it is so dense at this point that you gotta,
In the comics, you mean, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, because not in movie form.
No. In movie form, you have the Chris O'Donnell's 2 movies on screen,
And then
you
Joseph
have Zack
Gordon-Levitt
Snyder's off-screen murder.
kind of being Robin.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt, or Joseph
yeah,
Gordon-Levitt,
sure, of
and then
course, yeah.
you said Batman vs Superman, where they killed him off screen, and Zack Snyder confirmed that it was not Jason Todd, it was Dick Grayson that was killed. And I'm like, what the fuck? He doesn't understand anything. I would have loved to if they would have announced a Batman and Robin movie with Jason Todd.
Yeah.
And it's not even like he's not Red Hood yet. That hasn't happened yet. It's a couple movies. Just knowing, oh, that's down the line.
Yeah.
That would have been very ominous.
There's somewhere to go with it that we know and that was the beauty. When Nick Fury showed up at the end of Iron Man, every Marvel fan who already loved the comics turned to the guy next to them that hadn't seen Marvel and was like, oh, you don't know this is going to be a whole
this
thing.
means
they're
this.
They're going to do this. Yeah. It would have been neat to see Jason Todd so that you could walk out and be like, oh, you don't even know.
For most people in the first couple movies, he'd just be Robin. But then for us comic book fans, and then whenever the big thing happens,
isn't he
be like, wow.
He's kind of a dick, huh? Oh, you have no idea.
You don't even know. Yeah. So that would have been good. But I guess the Damian Wayne thing, it probably has potential. I'm a older person, so I haven't read those books.
And that's the thing is the dynamic with Batman actually having his own son as Robin does add a lot of unique storytelling elements.
Right.
So, but again, it's I'm a Tim guy. Tim Drake is my Robin.
Yeah, I grew up with the new Batman Adventures. They had Batman the animated series, and they revamped the animation and aged up the characters a little bit. Dick became Nightwing, and then they introduced Tim Drake, and that was whenever I was a kid watching Saturday morning cartoons. So for me, that's the Bat family is Batman, Nightwing, Tim Drake, and then Batgirl.
Yeah,
and Terry McGinnis 30 years later.
But now even imagine how all those people in the 90s felt who were Jason Todd fans.
WTF. You're right. Yeah, because he got cut out of that series entirely because it was too dark to. I say that it was too dark to kill him, but then they do kill Tim Drake, or not? They don't kill, but they psychologically torture Tim Drake in Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker. So they go back and forth on whether or not they want to kill Robin.
Yeah.
That's a huge sidebar on.
You know what I don't go back and forth on?
What's that?
It's how much I want to see Super Mario Brothers.
Me too. That commercial is super fun.
We should actually play just the little jingle part of that.
Yeah.
Because it's it's just such a great sort of audio callback.
Mario Brothers and plumbing's a game. We're not like the others who get all the fame. When your sink is in trouble, you could call us on the double. We're faster than the others, you'll be hooked on the brothers.
Thank you, Super Mario Bros. It seems like the only thing you haven't drained is my bank account. For super service,
Love it.
It's so weird seeing the Mario Brothers in America, like in New York, and not in like the Mushroom Kingdom. It's so weird,
right?
I don't like picture these guys having a normal life, but here they are.
I like that there's going to be a little backstory to it. It's the world building they've done in this movie and the trailers has been a lot of fun to see, and I think it's gonna. And then of course, like you said, Zam, this isn't a new song. This was the song that Captain Lou Albano sang at the end of every episode of the Super Mario Bros. Super Show back in the 90s.
That was the intro.
Oh, this was the intro.
End was the do the Mario.
Yeah.
Swing your arms from side to side. Don't do much else because you're Lou Albano. This is all you get from me, all right? I'm going to swing my arms like this.
Not a dancing man. But yes, this was the intro song.
Yeah, that's why he was Captain Lou, not Dancing Lou Albano.
Captain staying stationary, turning a wheel.
Oh, man, I love the idea of Dancing Lou Albano. That's pretty fun.
So not just building a world that is true to the game, but incorporating some of the kind of pop culture of the Mario Brothers, and it's neat to see.
Yeah, where do you stand on this?
I still can't get over Chris Pratt as Mario.
Oh, he's terrible.
That is a horrible choice. That is, and especially whenever the guy who voices Mario, I believe, is still alive in the games, right?
Yeah,
he could do the role theoretically.
Charles Martinet.
Charles Martinet.
Yeah, and he's still working, so like you could do it with him. And I bet also Jack Black as Bowser and Anya Taylor-Joy, who we'll all see in anything.
I was going to say the entirety of the rest of the
Charlie Day as
casting.
Luigi is good. Yeah,
the rest of the casting and what they've done with the loyalty to the visuals has made me forgive the Chris Pratt decision.
Okay.
And I was one of the most vocally
against
angry. Because I'm on the you can't give Chris Pratt everything train.
Yeah.
It's just you can't. He can't be everything. It's fucking insane.
You're like Jesse in Breaking Bad. You're like, he can't keep getting away with it.
Yes, I mean, yes, he can't. Also, there's other things that he should stop doing.
If they make him young Indiana Jones, I will stop seeing the movies.
Oh, 100. I would cut out because look, and I love Parks and Rec. I love Guardians. I think his role in Parks and Rec is fucking amazing.
Yeah,
he does some of the best physical comedy I've seen in a long time.
I will point out, We watched that entire Guardians trailer and then talked about it a little bit, and not once did any of us mention Chris Pratt.
Nope.
There's one shot in that scene in that trailer where it looks like he's very sad and like he's screaming.
There's one where it looks like
what's going to happen to him?
There's one where it looks like Nebula's carrying his corpse.
So what's
fingers crossed?
I feel like that.
I feel like that's a fake out.
I agree. That wouldn't be in the trailer.
We hope he's dead.
Although I say that, but they've spoiled worse stuff in trailers. I remember they spoiled the ending to Batman versus Superman in the trailer.
Did they really?
The big monster, anyways, at the end. The fact that they team up, the fact that Batman and Superman team up in Batman versus Superman was spoiled in the trailer. I hate that decision to this day.
I noticed we also had that same kind of pose, like you talked about Nebula holding Star-Lord. We had it in the Flash trailer with Supergirl was holding somebody in her arms, flying up towards the end.
Yeah.
So, I will say, touching back on that one real quick, I am super excited. I'm doing it. I am super excited about Supergirl.
Supergirl will be cool.
Looks cool, and but I am a little concerned because unless obviously I see the movie, but unless Flash and Batman are universe jumping, it suggests that maybe Batman and Supergirl are in the same universe.
Oh, I hadn't considered that.
And this has only caught my attention because somebody recently confirmed online that that Batman, Michael Keaton's Batman, and Christopher Reeve's Superman are in the same universe. Or I guess
when you say confirmed, like what is that?
Like that,
DC, like on the website said that this is okay.
Those are the same universe. And I'm gonna Google it real quick and see if I can find what that was.
I don't know if that's true or not, but that would mean that this. No, because Christopher Reeve already has a Supergirl in his universe, right?
Yeah, that's
right. That was the Helen.
That's Helen Slater.
So I think that
and also my favorite part, not to derail too far, but
good.
my favorite part of that iteration of that Supergirl movie is like the classic 80s thing of like, okay, you showed up here from another world and you don't know what's going on, and we need to make sure that people don't know that you're an alien. So you got to go to high school.
Yeah,
immediately enrolled in high school.
Okay, it was DC. DC confirmed it in a comic book in Dark Crisis Big Bang #1, which is an offshoot of a recent crossover event that essentially rewrote all the universes.
Okay. Well, so it's kind of like with Star Wars before Disney acquired it. There's like G canon, and there's these other canons, and then like only one that the movies acknowledge is George's canon.
Yeah, none of this stuff is super important or really, especially. Well,
kind of
Dark Crisis, Big Bazinga.
If we're trying to figure out what I think is that the Flash and is going to hop from DC Snyderverse to the Tim Burton universe, and then team up with Batman, and then they'll hop together to a third where no metahumans exist, because he says Batman's not a metahuman.
Correct.
Oh, okay. Now I'm just thinking about all these things.
He's just a regular old.
Yeah,
my
so they could
parents
get away
died.
with that.
Yeah. So
he's just a regular old orphan.
Fascinating.
And the one thing though, now that we're back on the Flash, though, I'm very curious or very skeptical of the idea of the way they're lighting Batman in this movie. It's he's not obscured in the shadows very much at all. Even in that shot where they zoom in on him, which felt like such a Super Bowl shot, where it almost felt like a Super Bowl like commercial where he's about to whip out Doritos or something, where it zooms in on him with the cape flapping in the background. But it was just very well lit and a little jokey, where he's like, I'm Batman. And it's like,
oh, I know. Yeah.
It's like, oh, great.
It's almost like he rolled his fucking eyes.
Yeah.
I swear to God, it felt like he was like, ugh, yeah.
I wanted to bring up.
I'm Batman.
Did you guys see Birdman?
No, not yet.
You saw Birdman?
The Michael Keaton.
Yeah. Great rewatch this year, considering that
I haven't
movie,
rewatched it. I've only seen it
I'm going
once.
to at some point, but it's a great rewatch considering that he's doing the one thing he didn't want to do in that film, where that movie is all about
that character.
an aging superhero trying to branch out and failing to do so, or seemingly failing to do so. So it's a little bit
that is
little
very,
meta.
Yeah, that is
a little
very
meta.
Interesting.
But the Flash, I will see.
Yeah. We should probably wrap it up. Should we do some picks and plugs?
Let's do it. Real quick, I just wanted to give a shout out. We just recently had artist Zach Raw on the show.
Yep.
Just wanted to give him a shout out and a thank you for the awesome prints that I got from him that are now gracing our studio, and got them framed and hung up.
Got our Waffle Warrior and his fantastic take on Oklahoma's own Garth Brooks.
and we may or may not be a serial killer.
Maybe.
Where are the bodies, Garth? So shout out to Zach. Thank you so much for hooking me up with those. We really appreciate it. Glad we could have some support. And Other than that, Hilton, what do you got?
Do you want to push to the Starlight Comedy Night, second Friday of every month? We're going to have a lineup for you in March real soon. I can't wait to tell you that one. You're going to like it. Aside from that, make sure you're checking out the shows on the OLA Ministries Network. Besides Podcasting to Perfection, the People vs. Paper podcast, we've enjoyed sitting down with my mom to talk about stories with mom. She tells some weird and crazy and wild stories from growing up. Last episode, we talked a little bit about her time at Woodstock. We talked a little bit about her time growing up horseback riding, including learning that she used to ride on property owned by the King of Albania.
Excuse me?
Yeah, in rural New York.
The King of Albania.
King Zog the First.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Zod?
Exactly. King, the
before
Flash
Zog.
Went back, and King
Wow.
Zog,
He messed up the timeline pretty bad.
right? And now
So
Mom,
he's just like, King of Albania is like, I got a spot in New York, in rural New York.
he was just chilling in New York after he was
You
done
want to go to my
kinging.
pad in New York? That's
But-
wild.
But my liege, we're in Albania.
Yeah, you're the king of Albania. Why would you need to? You're the king here.
Yeah.
You got the whole joint. He's like, yeah, but sometimes you just got to get away.
Got to get away. Yeah. That's like a work thing. I don't want to be around my work, you know.
Yeah, you can't take it with you. What else?
That's about it.
No picks?
Picks this week, man. I'm gonna push to the Film Fan Club.
Oh, I love that. That's great. Thank you.
So where can we find it?
Oh, you can find it at youtube.com/thefilmfanclub. That's where I do my the aforementioned late night style comedy show. The time slot is Monday nights at 10:30 p.m. Central time. And I am also on Twitter and Instagram at Samuel D. Carrico. And I wanted to mention, and the podcast feed as well.
Yeah.
I don't plug that enough. We got a podcast feed. You can find all the links at anchor.fm/thefilmfanclub. But wherever you're listening to this right now, chances are you could probably find my show as a podcast. I know some people like to listen to it in the car.
Nice.
Big video coming out February 27th. Star Wars, Why I Hate My Favorite Franchise, A Star Wars Story Part 2.
Awesome.
It's 45 minutes long. It's a sequel to Part 1.
Yeah.
And obviously, as the title would imply. And it covers Solo, A Star Wars Story, Rise of Skywalker, a little bit of before that time and a little bit of where we are now with the Star Wars movies. So that's a big video that I worked on. I'd love it if anybody checks it out. It's going to be it's going to be exclusively on the YouTube channel. So that's youtube.com/.
You said when was the premiere?
That is Monday, 10:30 p.m. Central. Monday, February 27th at 10:30 p.m. Central Time on youtube.com/thefilmfanclub. Again, it'll be a YouTube exclusive, but all my other shows are on podcast platforms.
And you said that's part 2. Part 1 of Why I Hate My Favorite Franchise is all about it's a couple of the other more recent Star Wars
so
movies.
I did it. It was a 10-year retrospective. I cover the first 5 years of Disney owning Lucasfilm in part 1, which broadly from 2012 to 2017 through the release of The Last Jedi. And this one picks up with the development hell of, I'm sure you guys remember, there's a lot of director drama in 2017 for Star Wars. So this picks up there, takes us through Solo, A Star Wars Story, through the development of The Rise of Skywalker, and then the aftermath, and then I briefly touch on the shows. So it's between the two, it's an hour and 45 minutes of everything Star Wars the last 10 years.
The first one is extremely thorough. I watched that, and it's really good. And what I really enjoy about it is it doesn't jump into judgment calls. It's just a thorough analysis and critique.
And it's all my opinion. You know, a lot of people like to be like, oh, these are objective faults in the movies. I sometimes, if I am being flippant, will say I'm always right and things like that. But it's all in good fun. It's all, it's all subjective. And here's why. But the thing is Last Jedi changed the way that not to go on about this too long, but The Last Jedi can't change the way I consume media. But whenever I saw The Force Awakens, I was like, Star Wars movie. I love Star Wars. I will watch it. I will probably like it.
Yeah.
Did the same thing with Rogue One. Rogue One's still a really good movie. The Last Jedi, though, I just couldn't stomach, and I had a hard time figuring out why.
Yeah.
And I've finally done it. So I'm very proud of these two videos.
The Last Jedi is it's not a great Star Wars movie, but it's a decent MCU film.
Okay.
That's kind of my takeaway looking back on it, is like there are scenes in that I would have, and I don't, there's whole segments of that I'm not okay with, but the whole Finn and Rose plot.
I really like the part where Luke Skywalker tries to kill his nephew in his sleep.
I think you say that in the video too.
Yeah. The guy who redeemed his father after his father committed genocide.
And that's one of the things that I liked about your video is you broke it down in very simple terms like that I hadn't really considered before, because just not to dive too into this, but The Last Jedi does dive deep into the emotional struggle that Luke had.
Right.
And you were just like, Yeah, wasn't he trying to save his dad and now he's trying to kill his nephew?
And you can get there. I'm saying, if you would have gotten to, did a whole trilogy of Star Wars sequels where you end with Luke becoming like that, and then maybe build him back up from there. And somebody put it in great terms. Like, the thing is, with Batman versus Superman, you built Batman back up after that. After you tore him down, you built him back up.
Yeah.
Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi is, deconstructed as a character, but in my opinion, broken down, and then they kill him. So it's just like there's no opportunity for redemption there.
Yeah,
and I hate that movie so much. So if you want to know why, there's 2 videos on YouTube.
But yeah, great video. The first part was great. Definitely looking forward to the second part.
Thank you so much.
If you had to pick, what would you say is one of the best non-superhero or Star Wars movies that you've seen in the last year or so?
Well, that's a little bit of a spoiler.
Like a regular movie.
And the best movie of 2022 is, I'm doing a video March 6th. That's going to come out. It's the best of 2022, but I will list off a couple. Hang on. If we can edit this part out, I'm going to pull up my list 1 second.
Oh, sure. We don't have to edit it out. We don't edit
Oh,
shit
love
out.
that. I love that. You're like, I'm not editing. So I'll go from, because it's my top 5 is that video. So to preview that, I'll go from 10 through 6, if that's okay. So yeah, I love Babylon, the movie about Hollywood. Margot Robbie and God, I have no idea who else was in it, but yeah, Margot Robbie is really good in that film.
That's
it is 3 hours long. Barbarian is number 9. I don't know if you've seen Barbarian. It was a horror film. It was so good.
It was very good.
Tar, number 8 is Tar. It's
it's
not a biopic, but it's a character piece about Lydia Tarr, who is a conductor, and it's a Me Too story, and it's a little bit different because she's a woman, a lesbian woman who gets Me Too'd, and the way it approaches her character without judgment, but also a little bit of judgment. It's a very interesting. It was a very interesting character study. Number 7 is The Menu. I love The Menu, and number 6 is X. I don't know if you've seen X, but it was also a horror film.
I haven't
heard of that one.
A bunch of kids are making a porno in a barn, and the people who own the property try to kill them. Yeah.
Did you see How They Run?
I did. Yeah, it was okay. It was a murder mystery, right?
Yeah.
It was fine.
That's kind of what I thought about it. I was like, it was worth watching.
It was. I have AMC A-list, so I'll go like regularly just to see and that's the perfect thing for that. Like, I would never pay for it otherwise, but since it's
watched
there,
it on HBO.
Yeah, I watched it
pretty good. Yeah.
But yeah, The Menu was also, but that was my number 7 or whatever, and that was really good. I probably should be higher on my list.
I rewatched Judas and the Black Messiah. That's on HBO.
Great movie.
And that was worth a rewatch. Such a insane story.
Nice.
Plugs. See me do comedy soon, maybe.
More shows are coming.
Stay tuned, idiots. I'm just kidding. I love you.
Now that's a plug.
A newer, exciting plug. Max News, Maximum News, your antithesis to Newsmax and OAN and all things lunatic right wing. We'll be back with big changes coming. We have a new co-host. Toby Morton will still be on the show anytime he is available, but scheduling just got to a point where it was just too difficult for us to try and do a regular show. So
I've been there.
Nothing happened nefarious. There was no behind-the-scenes drama or anything like that. It was literally purely a scheduling
He's
issue.
doing a lot of work taking on the nut bags on his own, too.
That's most of what the issues are, is that he's doing so much of that.
Yeah.
It's hard for him to take the time away. So he'll jump on whenever he's able to, but we will introduce a brand new co-host that I'm super excited for you guys to meet. A friend of the show. He's been on before, but you're going to have to fucking listen to find out who it is.
That's a tease.
So take that. But yeah, Max News will be back within the next 2 weeks with new shows. So look forward to that. And picks. What did I... Man, I had a pick, and I freaking lost it.
Man.
Watch Judas and the Black Messiah.
Do it.
That's a good one.
Sam, thanks for being on the show.
Yeah,
thank you guys for
so
having
much.
me.
Check out the Film Fan Club on all of the platforms, including podcasts and YouTube.
Yes.
And follow
Yeah.
Sam on all the social medias. You said it was Sam D.
Samuel D. Carrico.
Full name Samuel D.
I like how it sounds distinguished.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If I had a single syllable last name, I would use my middle initial because it's J, and I would be Michael J. Michael J. Zampino doesn't have the same ring as Michael J. Fox.
Hilton and Price.
Have you ever done Michael J.Z.?
Michael Jay-Z. Ooh, then I could be Jay-Z.
Exactly. And
Turn
then
me up in my headphones.
Turn me up.
You can put that on a poster, and then people will come and be very disappointed.
And then I can play off 2 rappers because my handle's Childish Zampino.
Oh, that's good.
Childish
That's
Jay-Z.
Yeah. Perfect. Love it. Thanks again, Sam. And,
Pleasure, guys.
Hilton.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take it from me.